Hi, Misha here, and have another Hobby Master Hornet for you. This is a recent release, and kind of an interesting one. It's neat, I think. I've had it on order for a while. Meet the Boeing A-18F Advanced Super Hornet, or ASH. And it's pretty much what it says on the tin. And this is the culmination of the whole Hornet, Super Hornet idea. Back in the 90s, especially early on, it looked like the Navy was going to get all new advanced fighters. There was one based on the F-22. There were different offerings from Grumman, but all of these were canceled. Instead, they focused on the FA-18 and eventually an enlarged, more capable version known as the FA-18E single seat and F two-seat Super Hornet. And by 2006, once the F-14 Tomcat was retired, pretty much the Navy had an all-Hornet fleet. This even replaced a lot of other support aircraft like electronic warfare, refueling tankers, reconnaissance craft, what the Navy called the neck-down program. Now, typically the one-size-fits-all is not good, but actually in the case of the Hornet Super Hornet, it proved to save the Navy a lot of money. And the original idea is, well, we'll wait till the F-35C comes along, but here we are in the 2021, and while the 35C is now around, it really isn't fully operational still. But the Hornet serves on. Now, the Hornet itself was finally retired from the Navy in 2019, although the Marine Corps is still using it. Sometimes, anyway. But the Super Hornet, which started to come around, what was that be about? Yeah, they had some by 2007, 2008, I remember. So it's been out for a while. You have the EF-18G Growler. That's electronic warfare. And the idea was to kind of incrementally, progressively update in small little steps, little changes. So beginning in 2008, the next one, becoming the Block 3, began. And in 2010, Boeing kind of released the International Roadmap Plan to update and upgrade existing. There was a request for some new computer systems, some new fuel tankage, several different little upgrades, including stealth, or at least semi-stealth. And this all became rolled into the ASH program by around 2012. And for this, Boeing and Northrop partnered up, and they actually privately funded it, although the Navy was interested to see what they came up with. And that's where we have this prototype here, beginning on August 5th and running through August 27 of 2013. This prototype underwent testing. And it had several nice changes. For example, it had upgraded General Electric 414 engines. They had more power, more thrust coming out. It also had a new early warning system, new computer system. It had an updated cockpit, more modern cockpit. And it was designed to be stealthier. It had a new coating on the metal. And it used a new optional centerline pod that could hold up to 4 missiles or similarly sized ordnance. I believe it was around 2,500, maybe 3,000 pounds the pod could hold. And the pod would kind of give it a bit of a stealthiness. In fact, with all the changes, and if you didn't hang ordnance off the wings, it had up to 50% less cross-section on a radar. So while the Hornet will never be a stealthy aircraft, this was more so. The Super Hornet even itself had redesigned intakes to kind of reduce the signature, and they did flush riveting as much as possible, and they kind of minimized panel lines and whatnot, and this just built upon that and took it a step or two further. And probably the biggest thing that the Ash had were these conformal fuel tanks. They gave quite a bit better range, longer endurance, very important for a naval aircraft, and they had some interesting effects on stealth and handling besides. It was actually these that the Navy was most interested in after the test program. And it wasn't just the US Navy that Boeing was showing this to, but other nations like Canada, Finland, Korea, operators in Australia, operators of the Hornet or Super Hornet were also kind of interested and shown off. Some of them even took it. And if you wanted a advanced Super Hornet, you could buy some or all of the updates. This was designed to be a modular system, so you could update existing Super Hornets, although not Hornets, or you could buy all new aircraft. Depending on exactly what you bought, it was about 6 to 10 million more than a standard Super Hornet of the day. And comparing it to the F-35C, even after reductions in the F-35C's cost, the advanced Super Hornet was about 35 million cheaper per aircraft. So even though the F-35C or even F-35A or B are now available, moving from 2020 to 2021, some users are still ordering these. In fact, the US Navy is one of them. Yeah, they have about 200 and some odd 35Cs on order, but they have 80 Super Hornets still on order. And around 2019, they started looking into adopting several upgrades, including the Block 3 program with a new computer system and the updated cockpit with a touchscreen display, replacing the original or the displays from the Block 2 program, and of course the conformal fuel tanks. The pod doesn't seem to have gained a lot of interest, maybe because it's just not worth the trouble, but it could pop up later, who knows. Yeah, the conformal fuel tanks and the updated cockpit and new computer and avionics seem to be what most impressed them out of this program. So elements from the advanced Super Hornet prototype are making their way into US Navy as well as Australian and some others. And some users like Canada just didn't want to buy the F-35. It didn't make sense for them, it was too expensive. This is a much more cost-effective option. It's tried, it's true, it's upgradable, and it's sturdy. You know, the Hornet started off as a competitor to the F-16, and both of them are being modernized, but both of them will be in service for at least another 2 decades, and quite possibly longer. They just, they were kind of designed to be dependable, upgradable, multi-role fighters. As you know, the F-18 can be a fighter, ground attacker, all in the same mission, and that's what we have here. Just thought it would be interesting with the fuel tanks. As far as the model, the tanks are removable, so you can pop them off if you don't want them. They do sit on quite even and smooth though. This is the 2-seat F variant. You do get the conformal pod in the middle, or if you don't want that, the model comes with a standard fuel tank to replace it. There's a few more missiles included, but I decided to kind of have this one a little bit lighter loaded. I didn't let it full up. I left a few of the hard points empty. We have it here with a couple of sidewinders for short range defense, and we have 3 AIM 120s for medium range. And we have one pod hanging out down there, and a couple of fuel tanks. In fact, with the conformal tanks and the tanks below, this one would have a pretty good long range for naval flight. And again, we have more thrust coming out of these uprated engines here from General Electric. Hobbymaster sells 2 versions of this, one with the armament and one without, kind of more of a testing look. I figured with the armament, get it. If you don't like it, just don't install it. Seems silly not to get a few extra missiles for other purposes. In fact, I took a couple of the M120s off of this and put it on a different plane, because pretty universal there. Like all your Hobby Masters, this has gear up or down. Canopy can be either open or closed, pilot in or out. It comes with a stand. The stem on this one is metal. The rest is plastic. I'm sure they want a metal stem because this is a relatively heavy model. Most of your entire body here is metal, with the plastic just being the ordnance and some detailing like the engines. I have several of these and I've covered them, both the standard Hornet and the Super, so you can check those out. But this just came in. That's hobo meowing, by the way. And I thought we would just briefly kind of look at it. So what do you think? Do you like the look of the Hornet with the tanks? Newer F-16s have these too. Let me know in the comments what you think. As always, if you could, like, share, and subscribe. This is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon. Next time.